Hello Internet! Welcome back to another installment of the Lumpy Guide to Vulcanverse. Today we're going to take a slight detour. While we're still going to talk about a Vulcan Forged game, today we're going to talk about Berserk. Berserk is one of the most popular games in Vulcan Forge's ecosystem, second only to Vulcanverse. It might actually be the most popular game because the most people can play it, which is really important. Berserk is a collectible card game available from Vulcan Forged. It is a web browser-based game. It is an NFT game as well, but today we're going to talk about free-to-play league, don't have to own any NFTs, and this is going to be the first of a couple of videos about Berserk. Today is real Berserk basics, and quite honestly, this video might be out of date in a month because the Berserk team is incredibly fast at moving forward with the game and adding lots of new dynamics. But for now, we're going to talk about Berserk basics, how to get started. So very first video, very first instruction, you need to go to myforge.vulcanforge.com and get yourself a MyForge wallet. If you don't have a MyForge wallet, you can't play the game. It's very simple. So go get yourself a wallet, come on back. If you'd like, there will be a link in the comments or the description of the video. You can click on that. It'll be a referral for me. We can both get an extra little bit of lava when you click that link. So, well, when you click the link and actually follow through with the circumstances. Anyway, let's talk about Berserk for a little bit. Once you have your MyForge wallet and identification ready, go to berserk.vulcanforge.com. Open her up, and you will get, for the very first time, what you're seeing right now on my screen, which is a option of Vulcanites to choose from. Now, don't be confused. This Vulcanite is not the same Vulcanite companion that you can get inside of Vulcanverse. This is completely separate, but by the same token, you're only going to be allowed to choose one, ever. So you have to look at these. I believe they all act identical in Berserk itself. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose the goat here. I think the goat is really beautiful and he just looks so awesome. So I'm going to select the goat, hit the select button. All right, it's loading, it's moving forward, and we're going to get started with Berserk. All right, so you've chosen your free Vulcanite, you're ready to play the game. Let's talk about exactly what the cards look like and how to interpret them. So in front of you, I've pulled up one of the most basic cards that the game has to offer, but it's going to be one of your best friends. Trust me, I have two of these cards in almost every deck that I use. The card is called the Hyperonor of the Spartoi. Yeah, it's super easy to say, and I think you should get used to that. The author of the names of these sometimes likes to write some hard to pronounce names. Isn't that right, Tanka? So let's take a look at the card. Here it is in front of us, and let's take a look at some of the symbols that are on the card so we understand. So the top left corner you see here circled is the number 1 inside of a giant lava gem. Now, the lava gem actually represents, in this case, how many lava, not real lava, but in-game lava, this card would cost to put into the playing field. All right, so it would cost 1 lava, which is not the cheapest. You can actually get a 0 lava card, but it is one of the cheapest cards out there, which makes it one of the most versatile cards out there as well. So 1 lava to get this card into gameplay. On the top right corner, you can see a gem. This is a basic gemstone. For the free-to-play league, all free-to-play league cards are currently with a blue backdrop, such as this card has. The common gem also designates how many of these cards are available. Now, in the free-to-play league, there are unlimited number of these cards available. So it's just more of a representation of kind of the damage or kind of the powerfulness of the card at this point. Let's skip down to the bottom here. On the bottom left, we've got a giant 1 with some claws coming out of it. It's very scary. That is this card's attack power. It is what this card's attack power at least starts with. Now, that attack power could change in the course of the game, but for now, we've got a solid 1 on this card. So every time this card attacks, it does 1 attack damage. Flip that to the bottom right corner there, and we've got a 1 with a shield on it. So that is a defensive number of 1, okay? If another card attacks this card, it has basically the capability of refuting one damage point before it will go away. So that's pretty simple. This card is a very simple card. Let's look at the very center of this card right now. The very center of this card is where the meat and potatoes of a lot of these cards comes into play and what makes them different from each other. This card is an undead card. Now, we're going to go deeper into what the types of cards mean in another video, but for now, you should know that an undead card is able to attack immediately when you put it into play on the game field. So this is actually a really important feature and a really useful card. It does not require the usual one-turn waiting timeline. So I use this card a lot, and I use other undead cards a lot. And why do I use those cards a lot? Well, that's another video as well. We're going to talk about strategy. We're going to talk about why you choose certain cards over another card, and why you would want some cards in your deck, and why you'd want to span out other cards in your deck. All right, here we are now at Berserk, in the home page, I would call it, of Berserk, where we can go to the play arena. We can look for duels, which is specific 1-versus-1 matches, where I'm pretty sure you don't gain experience points. I would need to double check on that. You can look at your deck, or your decks. I believe you can have up to 6, and you can, of course, sign out. So right now, what we're going to do is, real briefly, I'm going to click on the play button. It's going to send us into the starting room, if you will. As you can see here, I've got a starting deck 1 and a starting deck 2 to choose from. And here on the right, you've got your name. Your MMR is your balance of win versus loss against other players. So if you win, that MMR is going to go up. If you lose, it's going to go down. It's going to rise or lower also dramatically or less dramatically, depending on how high or low you are and the opponent's number as well. Now, underneath that is 3 flags. You can see the Starter League, the Mythic League here, and the Legendary League. Now, for these purposes, for free-to-play purposes, we're just going to keep that over in the Starter League, because if you were to enter the Mythic or the Legendary League, you're going to go against opponents that have NFT decks, and, you know, it really doesn't matter at this point how well you play with a free-to-play deck. If you get into the big boy decks, you're going to get smeared. Now, I know that the developers of the Berserk game are working feverishly towards the 3rd season of Berserk, and they are implementing a lot of new cards, and I have been fortunate to be on the testing group of some of these cards. I'm not going to give away any of these new cards functions right now, but needless to say, the gap between the NFT and the non-NFT decks is going to become smaller. So that's great to look forward to, and I can't wait to see the progress of this particular game. So we're going to go stay in the Starter League for now, and we're going to back out of this, and we're going to look at our decks. And right now, like I said, we've got starting deck 1 and starting deck 2, and it doesn't really matter what those decks have in them, because we're going to create our own deck. We're going to go down here to the New button on the bottom right. It's going to load the available options for us, and it's going to check for Vulcanite NFTs in your MyForge wallet. Now, I have no Vulcanite NFTs in this MyForge wallet, so here it is with my Billy Goat, the Austriad Goat, and he's going to be my hero for this entire game. NFT heroes can grant you powers during the game. You're allowed to use level 1 Vulcanites in the Starter League, and those powers are helpful, but they're not dramatic. So you can definitely overcome a person playing with a NFT Vulcanite as the hero in the Starter League. It's not a problem. All right, so back to the screen of our common Vulcanite cards. You can see I can scroll up and down here on the list of the Vulcanite cards that are available. We're not going to talk about why I'm choosing cards or which cards I prefer at this point. I'm just going to show you what you do. So literally, you're grabbing one of these cards, you're clicking on it, you're carrying them over from the left to the right, and you're dropping them down when they get over there. Boom, that's it. It's over there now. You're going to want to fill up the deck with cards that you feel are appropriate. Again, we'll talk about which cards are more appropriate than others when we get into it in the next deck. And as you fill up the deck, you can see on the right-hand side over above the cards, we've got an indicator of the number of cards that are being added to the deck, as well as a bell curve breakdown of the lava cost of the cards that are being added to the deck. You want to know that information because the higher cost cards are almost always more powerful than the lower cost cards, and you're going to want a certain spread of high cost and low cost cards in your deck. Unless, of course, you are going for a certain type of deck build, which is, again, the subject for another video. So once you have added up to 30 cards in your deck, and there is no reason why you can't have less than 30 cards, but trust me, you'll want 30 cards. Once you've added 30 cards to your deck, you can save your deck. In this case, I only have 5 cards, but we're not going to tell anybody. It will appear as here, the new deck. Now, it gives you the option to save the name of the deck. I didn't bother saving the name of the deck. But you can then have 6 different decks from which to choose from to play with 6 different styles against various opponents or against, the whim of how you're feeling that day. So that's the very basics, very, very, very basics of starting with Berserk. Now, the next video we're going to talk about is actually getting into the different types of cards that they offer and why you would want to maybe take a look at some of those cards versus others of those cards. All right, this has been Lumpyland. This is the #1 video of Berserk Basics, and it is part of the Lumpyland Guide to Vulcanverse. And I hope you have a good day. Hades still smells funny, and you still need to press 2 to forage. All right, bye-bye.